She lost the man, but Ava wasn't about to lose the war. When a billionaire chose his maid over his glamorous fiancé, Ava didn't cry. She watched, waited, and then struck back. One photo, one leak, one whisper to the right media outlet. And suddenly Malia became a scandal. But Ava didn't want attention. She wanted destruction. And as the world turned its cameras on the maid who dared to be loved, Ava smiled from the shadows. Because for her, this wasn't about heartbreak. It was about revenge. Sometimes the person who walks away quietly is the one you should fear most. It started with a photo. Just one. A blurry picture, taken from behind the curtain. A man in a navy blue shirt, slipping a bracelet onto the wrist of a woman in a cream dress. They were standing close. Too close. The caption came hours later, posted by an anonymous gossip account. Is Elijah Grant really dating his maid? Sources say the billionaire CEO has replaced his runway queen with the help. By morning it was everywhere. News blogs, Twitter threads, Instagram reels with dramatic music. Comment sections exploded like wildfire. He downgraded? This girl is smart. I'd dance too if it got me a mansion. Men will always choose peace over pretty. Ava was too loud. Malia didn't even know it had happened until her phone buzzed nonstop. She picked it up, an old android with a cracked corner, and stared in confusion. Her name, her face, the dress she wore just yesterday, Elijah's bracelet on her wrist. The internet knew. The world was watching. She stood frozen in the hallway, the screen still lit in her hand. Outside, paparazzi were already starting to gather by the mansion gate. Ava was smiling, because she had posted the photo. And this was only the beginning. She watched from her luxury car across the street, dark sunglasses hiding her eyes, but not her satisfaction. She had timed it perfectly. The media storm, the shame, the noise, all of it. Elijah had embarrassed her, publicly. Now, he'd see what it meant to lose everything he worked for. Not through fists, not through screams, but through something far deadlier. Reputation. Inside the mansion, Elijah was pacing the study, phone in hand. Malia, he said, voice tight. Don't open the door. Don't talk to anyone, not even the staff. She nodded, still holding her phone like it was burning her fingers. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this, she whispered. I know, he said, stepping closer. We'll fix it. But, look. She turned her screen toward him. They're saying I slept my way into your heart. That I planned this. His jaw clenched. They don't know you. They don't want to. Elijah's lawyer called. His board members texted. Step away from the situation for optics. Was this relationship appropriate? Do we need to prepare for a scandal? Even his assistant, loyal, precise, asked gently. Sir, should we relocate her? That was the final straw. No, Elijah said coldly. She stays here. She stays with me. Meanwhile, Ava wasn't done. She called in a favor. An old friend at a magazine. There's more. She purred into the phone. Do you want the real tea? She sent them footage from the mansion's internal security camera. The dance. Malia twirling barefoot, lost in music, smiling like she owned the world. The headline dropped hours later. Maid or mistress? The viral moment that changed Billionaire. Elijah Grant forever. And just like that, Malia wasn't a person anymore. She was a headline. She didn't leave her room for a day. Elijah tried to knock. She didn't answer. The house was quiet again. But this time, not in peace. In heartbreak. Because Malia had grown up with whispers behind her back. But this was different. This was the whole world mocking her joy. Mocking her love. Inside her room, the bracelet still sat on her table. Untouched. She had taken it off the moment the video dropped. Not because she regretted it, but because she was scared. Scared of what she might cost Elijah. Scared of what the world would keep taking. Outside, Elijah sat on the balcony, the one they used to share every evening. Now it was just him. Alone again, until he stood, walked to her door and said softly, I don't care what they say, Malia. I don't care what they think. I only care about the girl who danced when she thought no one was watching. There was silence, then a quiet click. The door opened. Her eyes were red. But she let him in, and for the first time since the firestorm began. They didn't say much. They just held hands, because sometimes love isn't loud. It's just present. The air in the Grant Tech boardroom was ice. 12 suits, one long table, and Elijah at the head, silent. A screen lit up behind him. His company's market reports. Dropping. Fast. The chairman of the board, Mr. Haynes, cleared his throat. Elijah, we've stood by a lot. Your tech decisions. Your unorthodox silence. But this? He pointed at the screen. A paused tabloid headline. From Maid to Mistress. Elijah Grant's scandal rocks the tech world. Investors are calling, Haynes continued. Partnerships are freezing. This romance, or whatever it is, it's affecting business. Elijah leaned back. So you want me to fire her? No, Haynes said smoothly. We want you to choose. He raised 2 fingers. Your legacy, or your distraction. Elijah's fingers tapped once on the polished wood table. The sound echoed. Then he stood. Calmly, deliberately. He walked to the screen, eyes skimming the headline without flinching. Then he turned to the board. 12 powerful people who had once hailed him as a visionary. My legacy, he said quietly, was never built on fear. The room stilled. It was built on innovation, on risk, on walking into storms other people ran from. He looked each board member in the eye. I didn't choose her to spite the world. I chose her because for the first time in years, I remembered what peace felt like. A pause. If that costs me your comfort, so be it. Then he pressed the remote. The screen went black. I'll rebuild if I have to, but I won't lose her just to keep you comfortable. And with that, Elijah sat back down, steady, unshaken. The silence that followed was thunderous. That night, Elijah didn't go home. He sat in his office until 3 a.m., staring at a blank message on his phone screen. Malia's name at the top. He didn't type. He didn't delete. He just stared. At the mansion, Malia sat in the garden, the one place that still felt untouched. She had told herself this wouldn't last, that love like this wasn't meant for someone like her. And now, maybe she was right. She stood, walked back inside. Didn't cry, just packed a small bag, just in case. The next day, the knock came. Late morning, quiet but deliberate. Elijah opened the door, and there she was. Ava! Back in designer heels, lips painted in bold red, sunglasses dangling from her fingers. Her hair was perfect, her posture poised, but her smile, it didn't touch her eyes. Miss me? She asked, voice like honey laced with vinegar. Elijah didn't blink. I don't have time for this. I'm not here to argue, she interrupted smoothly, stepping forward. I'm here to help, really. He didn't move, didn't trust it, and for good reason. He raised a brow. She walked in like she owned the marble beneath her. You're in trouble, Elijah. And whether you want to admit it or not, I'm the only one who knows how this world works. He folded his arms. Go on. She sat, crossed her legs. Let me come back. Just for optics. No strings. We show the world you're back with someone acceptable, and everything goes back to normal. Deals, funding, image. And Malia? He asked, voice sharp. Ava's smile turned cruel. She leaves quietly. Gets a settlement, and you get your company back. Outside the door, Malia stood frozen. She had only come to return Elijah's sweater, but now she couldn't move. Because what she just heard shattered her. Not because Ava offered, but because Elijah hadn't said no. Malia didn't wait. She didn't knock. She didn't ask him to explain. She simply turned around, walked down the hallway, and out through the side door. Quiet as a shadow, just like when she first arrived. She left the sweater folded neatly on the bench outside his study, and on top of it the bracelet. No note, no tears, just silence. She walked all the way to the edge of the estate, rode with nothing but her small, overnight bag and the ache in her chest. The security guards tried to stop her. Miss Malia. She smiled softly. Tell Mr. Grant. I understand. And then she walked through the gates, the same ones she once dreamed beyond. This time without hope, without anger, just a broken kind of grace. Inside, Elijah finally stood. Ava, get out! She blinked. Excuse me? I won't repeat myself. Ava gave a short laugh. After all I just offered? You really think the world will accept someone like her? Get out, he said again, firmer this time. She grabbed her purse and stormed off. But this time, she didn't slam the door, because she'd already won. Or so she thought. Minutes later, Elijah stepped into the hallway and stopped cold, there on the bench outside his study, his sweater folded neatly, and on top of it, the bracelet. His throat tightened. She was gone. Panic rising, he turned and rushed to the gates. "Where's Malia?" he demanded. One of the guards shifted uncomfortably. "She left, sir, on foot." Elijah's eyes darkened. "And you let her go?" "She told us to tell you." The guard hesitated. "She said..." She understood. Elijah didn't speak. He couldn't. His hands curled into fists. But it wasn't anger in his chest. It was the weight of losing something. Someone who never asked for anything but honesty. And now she was gone. That night he stood in her empty quarters. Everything was still the same. The small bed, the cracked mirror, the scent of lavender on her pillow. He sat on the edge of her mattress and finally let his walls break. She had given him love with nothing in return, and now he had everything, except her. The next morning, Elijah didn't go to work. He didn't take calls, didn't answer the board. He only gave one instruction to his driver: find her. They searched everywhere: the bus parks, the restaurant she once worked at, her mother's old neighborhood. Nothing. She had disappeared the same way she had arrived. Quietly, Elijah returned late in the evening, exhausted but determined. He hadn't eaten all day. As he stepped into the mansion, a stack of magazines on the foyer table caught his eye. The same headline screamed across all of them: Elijah Grant, billionaire in love with a maid? Exclusive. Scandal secrets and a woman gone missing. He stared at the cover for a long moment, then made a decision. The next day, reporters crowded the atrium of Grant Tech HQ. Cameras flashed. Phones recorded. This wasn't about software anymore. It was about scandal. Elijah stepped up to the mic. Black suit, no tie, no script. The room hushed. "I've always let my work speak for me," he began, voice steady. But lately, noise has spoken louder than truth. He looked straight into the cameras. "There is a woman I care about. Her name is Malia, and yes, she worked in my home. But she is not a scandal. She is not a mistake. And she is not leaving because you think she should." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "I will not apologize for seeing something rare and real in someone," the world tried to overlook. "If you want to pull your funding because I love a woman who cleaned my floors, do it. I'll rebuild." A single flashbulb popped. "I'm not ashamed of her. I'm ashamed it took me this long to say that." Then he stepped back, walked away, didn't answer a single question. Malia was at the salon where she now worked part-time. When the video came on the small TV mounted in the corner, the room had been buzzing with chatter, until Elijah's face appeared on screen. She froze mid-sweep, her hand still clutching the broom, eyes locked on the TV. The salon fell silent. No one said a word. Malia didn't move. She didn't even blink. Because for the first time, Elijah had chosen her. Not in secret, not behind closed doors, but in front of the whole world. The salon buzzed with chatter after the press conference, but Malia heard none of it. One of the stylists nudged her gently. "Girl, that man loves you." Malia gave a soft smile, but her eyes said otherwise. Because love was one thing, belonging was another. That night she sat on the small bed in her aunt's apartment, where she'd been staying quietly since leaving the mansion. The TV replayed Elijah's press conference on a loop. She stared at the screen, unsure what to feel, because the words were beautiful. But she had been hurt before. People could say anything when the cameras were rolling. Her aunt, a kind-faced woman with sharp eyes, sat beside her. "You know he meant it," she said gently. Malia didn't respond. "You think love is about avoiding pain?" her aunt asked. "I think love shouldn't come with humiliation," Malia replied softly. Her aunt reached over and held her hand. "You're right. But that man stood up in front of the world. That counts for something. I don't want to be someone he defends," Malia whispered. "I want to be someone he respects." "And maybe now," her aunt said, "you're finally both." Meanwhile, Elijah sat alone in his living room, staring at the empty hallway where Malia used to sweep and hum softly to herself. He missed her laugh, missed her grace, missed the sound of her mug in the morning. He had done what he could. Now all he could do was wait. 3 days passed. Then came a knock at the mansion door. Not reporters. Not Ava. Just a quiet courier in a brown vest, holding a small envelope addressed to Elijah Grant. Handwritten. Neat. No return address. He opened it slowly. It, faintly of lavender. Dear Elijah, I watched your press conference. I didn't expect that. And I don't know what it cost you to say those things. But thank you. You always told me silence can be louder than words. But your words were louder than anything I've ever heard. Still, I don't know if I'm ready to come back. Not because I don't care, but because I do. You see me now, and that means more than you know. But I need to learn how to see myself, too. Outside of your house, your name, your world. I was someone before I put on your bracelet. I need to remember that girl. And if one day I come back, I want it to be not as your maid, not as your heartbreak, but as your equal. Until then, dance whenever you hear that song. And maybe think of me. Malia. Elijah sat still for a long time after reading it. He folded the letter carefully, pressed it to his chest, and whispered, I'll wait. Because sometimes, love doesn't demand the next chapter right away. Sometimes it just needs patience. The sun rose gently over the city. No headlines this time. No flashing lights. Just soft light spilling through the windows of a small classroom, where Malia now stood, gently erasing a chalkboard. She had finally enrolled in the part-time teacher's training program she once dreamed of. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't loud. But it was hers. And every morning as the children trickled into the classroom, calling her Auntie Malia, with bright eyes and toothy smiles, something in her heart healed. Piece by piece, day by day. After class, Malia worked evening shifts at a quiet cafe. She tied her apron the same way she once tied her maid uniform. But this time, it didn't feel like hiding. Because when she looked in the mirror now, she didn't just see someone surviving. She saw a woman growing into herself. Piece by piece. She wasn't rich. She wasn't on magazine covers. But she was steady. She was healing. And for the first time in her life, she felt whole. Across town, Elijah had changed. He no longer chased headlines. He let the board complain, let investors talk. He closed off part of his office, let go of most of the mansion's staff, even told Ava's decorator to stop calling. And little by little, his home began to feel real. Less cold glass, more warmth, more him. Every Friday, he placed a new envelope in his desk drawer. A letter to Malia. Letters he never mailed. Some were just a few words. I missed your laugh today. Others were longer. I saw a burgundy dress in a shop window. You would have loved it. You'd have twirled. But every letter ended the same way. Still waiting. Still yours. And then, something surprising happened. People began to change their minds. The same blogs that once mocked them now praised their quiet love. One headline read, "A true love story." Another said, "She left and he still waited." Even Ava, now quietly engaged to another rich CEO, posted a mysterious message. Let go of what was never yours before it teaches you humility. Elijah said nothing. Malia stayed quiet. They simply kept growing, becoming who they were meant to be. It was a quiet Saturday. The cafe where Malia worked was busy, but peaceful. Mothers with kids, students reading, couples talking in low voices. Malia was cleaning a table near the window, her apron tied neatly and her hair tucked under a scarf. Then the bell above the door rang. She didn't look up at first, until a familiar voice said gently, "One black coffee. And, if you have it, a slice of banana bread." Her heart stopped. Slowly she turned. There he was, Elijah Grant. No suit, just jeans, a plain shirt, and that familiar look in his eyes. Calm, sure, quiet. Malia blinked. Found you, he said softly. Her lips parted, but she couldn't speak. He added, "I didn't plan this. I just came for coffee. But maybe fate had something else in mind." Malia tried to smile, but her lips trembled. "You're not supposed to be here." "Maybe not," he said. "But I'm here anyway." She looked down at the tray in her hand. Then he gently reached across the counter. "Just one question," he said. "Are you okay?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, I'm okay. And are you happy?" This time she looked up. "I'm learning to be." He smiled. "Good." Then he pulled a folded letter from his pocket. Creased, aged. "I wrote to you every week. he said. "I never sent them. But I brought this one, just in case." She stared at it, unsure. He placed it gently on the counter and stepped back. "I'll let you get back to work," he said, voice low. "But if you ever want to talk about anything, don't wait for fate next time." He turned to leave. Malia stood frozen. Then she reached out. Her hand trembled slightly as she touched the edge of his shirt. "Elijah." He stopped. She swallowed. "Do you still dance?" He looked back, a flicker of hope in his eyes. "Only if someone leads." She smiled, soft, unsure, real, and whispered, "Then wait till I close tonight." The cafe closed at 9. Malia flipped the sign to closed, locked the door, and turned off the main lights, leaving only the warm glow from the wall sconces. Elijah was still there, sitting quietly in the corner booth, waiting. No phone, no laptop, just presence. She walked toward him slowly, her heart beating fast with every step. "I haven't danced in a long time," she said quietly. He stood up. "Me neither." She looked around the empty cafe. "There's no music." He smiled, pulled a small speaker from his pocket, and turned it on. Then came the song, the same one she danced to at the mansion, the one that made her feel free before the world found out. Now it played again, but this time there was no shame, no hiding, just the two of them. Malia stepped into his arms. No hesitation now. Her hands rested on his shoulders. His found her waist, and they began to sway, slow, gentle, together. Outside, rain began to fall, softly like a lullaby. Inside, their steps were quiet, feet brushing against old floorboards, hearts sinking like second hands on the same clock. Malia rested her cheek against his chest. He whispered, "I never stopped choosing you." She looked up at him. "I never stopped remembering how you saw me." He smiled and kissed her forehead. Just that. No rush, no noise. Just reverence. They didn't talk much after the dance. Elijah walked her home in the rain, holding nothing but an umbrella in her hand. She didn't need a mansion to feel safe anymore. She just needed him to walk beside her. Weeks went by, then months. The world moved on. But in a small house near a primary school in a street full of hibiscus flowers, Malia opened her daycare. Malia's little lights. She built it with Elijah's support and her own hard work. Elijah didn't chase fame anymore. Now he made breakfast. And at night, sometimes, they danced in the living room, wearing socks and pajamas. Not for the world, just for each other. One evening, under the quiet stars above their home, Malia stepped out onto the porch. Elijah followed and gently wrapped his arm around her. She looked up at him and smiled. "You still think you can dance?" He laughed softly. "Only if you lead." There was no ex hiding behind the curtain anymore. No one watching. No drama, no noise. Just them. Two people who had been through pain, loss, and storms, and still chose each other. Not because it was easy, but because it was real. So they danced. Not for show. Not to prove anything. Just to say, "We made it." The end. Thank you for watching. If this story stirred something in you, please leave a comment. Like, share, and subscribe for more heart-healing love stories. And remember, sometimes the ones the world calls invisible become the ones we can never look away from.